Alright, I didn't do part 3 from yesterday, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. After I left the Big Lots, positive experience. It all comes full circle. Just to sum it up, Family Dollar, uh, real shaggy looking, dreaded guy there that turned out to be a manager. Very annoying. I always try to avoid him. He always tries to harass me, but I always kind of sidestep him. But he got smart and caught me at the register and tried to harass me there. Um, Basically, I asked to leave because I had my items and I was gonna purchase, and the cashier was gonna ring me up, and he didn't want them to. He said I wasn't in line. So basically, I said not a problem. I just left. Process of me leaving, I'm gonna walk 5 miles to Walmart. My sandal breaks in the middle of US 1, which is a busy highway. So I have to take off my shoes. I'm walking barefoot. I go to Bill's, get decent service there. There's a guy there that claims to be the cousin of somebody that I work with. I don't know if it's true or not. They do look similar. Um, he puts on a show of being slow, but I don't think he is really. And I think that he's taking advantage of my kindness. And so, but I'm always still nice because in my mind I think he's slow, and it's like for me, slow people that are considered to be slow are gifted because I think people look at me and think that I am slow because I'm so nice and I don't really retaliate when things come my way, so they take it as slow. But so I was treated pretty decent there. Was treated very well at Bill's. Went to I mean just over the top well. Went to Walmart. Went to go pay for the items that I was supposed to pick up at Family Dollar. And it's so funny how everything goes full circle. Just like the first guy was a dreadhead that was very harassing and negative. At Walmart, the end of my shopping spree was another guy that was a dreadhead, but he was very positive. He was like an angel. Because what happened was I went to purchase my items. I have a like a little nut can of change that I like to try to get rid of because it's heavy. I mean, there's just so much change in there. So I was trying to get rid of that, and normally I never had a problem there before, but this time there were different people that were working, and the guy was just, I asked him, I said, look, I have, the change. I wanted to let is it okay if I count it all here, and just come around to the front. The girl turned around and she's just like something. She said something to him about we don't take all that back here, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, okay. I didn't hear what she said, so I was like, I didn't, excuse me, ma'am, I didn't hear what you were saying, but are you telling him, they never had a problem with me, using my little container or whatever before. Is there a problem now? If you have a problem with it personally, it's not a problem. Just let me know, and I'll just kind of, move on and go somewhere else. And she just ignored me, and I was like, okay, maybe she's just helping her customer. So I asked her twice more, spread out some time in between, because I had already counted everything out. And she didn't say anything. So I was like, okay, not a problem. So she's not saying no, so it must be okay. So I walked up, got in line with the guy. He told me to go around to the other side. And, at this point, because the lady said that, the guy is confused about whether he should or shouldn't. So I'm asking him, would it be okay? But then he's helping with somebody else. Another guy comes and he's just like, can I help you, ma'am? And I'm just like, yeah, sure. I was asking this lady. She said something about me using change to pay, and I was trying to confirm whether or not it would be okay for me to go ahead and pay. Since I've been here all this time. He was, and I was like, he was gonna ring me up. He was like, well, yeah, he'll help you. So I got to him, and now he's telling, and I was like, you will take it. He was like, oh yeah, it's not a problem, blah blah blah. So then he rings up the two items. After he rings up the two items, he's like, oh, I can't take all the change. I just asked you if you could, and you said you would. If you couldn't, that would have been all right. If you had just told me, I would have, made other arrangements. But so now I'm standing there after he's rung it up, and I was like, okay, not a problem. And I was like, well, is there a way that you can, since I waited all the time, you heard me ask her 3 times, was it okay? I asked you, and I asked her because she seemed to have dominion over you, and nobody answered. Since I waited here all the time, can you just go ahead and ring it up if you don't mind as a favor? So he did. Come to find out, the lamp that I bought, it was actually, it rang up like $3 more than it was. And I was like, oh no, because I had counted out exactly. I was like, no, I think that price is wrong. And by that time, other people were coming. So I was like, okay, never mind, don't worry about it. I'll just do something else. And I said, is it possible that you can call a manager? Because after all of this, I'm just like, I want a price check for one. And then second, I want to discuss the fact that, I done sat here for 30 minutes. I asked these people, was it okay? Completely ignored. The girl jumped in to intervene. The man didn't have a problem with it at first. The girl jumped in to intervene to say something sly, and then didn't want to respond to confirm whether or not she was going to allow this person to do it. So I stand there all that time. Then when I get there, a whole different thing. You know? So, just, just awful. But then the guy comes out, I ask to speak to the manager. And then on top of that, when I asked to speak to the manager, the guy, I had a run-in before with him where I was asking, about the whereabouts of a certain product, and I asked if he worked in this department. And instead of just answering me, he kept saying, what do you need? And I was like, I need to speak to somebody that works in this department. Do you work in this department? And then he was just like, oh, how can I help you? I said, no, that's okay. I don't need your help. So I asked the lady, she did work in that department. I guess he didn't. And so at that point, she was helping me. Everything was good. So this time around, same thing. I asked to speak to the manager. I don't know if the guy talked to the manager or not, called him or not. And then the next thing I know, the young man that had a run-in before, he comes up, and so I'm like, okay, well, he's helping a customer. Do you mind contacting the manager for me? And he was just like, well, what do you need? And I was like, I'm asking you if you wouldn't mind contacting the manager. What do you need? I need to speak with the manager. And then he goes on, and I was like, that's okay, don't worry about it. And then I waited, I saw another associate come out, so I asked him if he could call the manager. And I said, they said that they did, but I didn't hear it over the intercom. He was just like, oh, yeah, they have another way of doing it. I said, okay, not a problem. So then I walk over to the side, and then the guy keeps asking me what I need, and I said, I need to speak to the manager. You're harassing me right now because I'm just waiting for the manager. It has nothing to do with you. I'm going to stand over here and wait for the manager. So then he tries to get funny. He says, did you pay for those items? I said, no, sir. You were standing there the whole time. I paid for these items, which I had bags from other stores. Like I said, I was shopping before, but I have not paid for these two yet. I'm waiting to speak to the manager. I'm going to wait here to speak to the manager. So the manager comes out, another young dread guy. Don't know what it is, but he was and I was like, hi, I'm the one that called you. And I told him about my experience. He was very nice about it. And basically he was like, no, they accept change right there. They don't refuse anything. They don't refuse any customers, period. And, he said it so that they could hear, but it was obvious that, that whatever nastiness they had going on. And the guy even went so far as to explain to me that, because I asked, I said, well, I thought, well, maybe they were new and the girl, was training him, so I didn't want to intervene, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what the policy was so that in the future I don't have to run into this. And he was just like, oh, no, they're not even new, So he just called them out on it. They were just being assholes, pretty much. And like I said, everywhere I go, I went to Winn-Dixie, same thing. I mean, I don't know what they were saying, but same thing. And the manager came out, and like I said, he came out and he was just like, and he was mad. He was just like, he had absolutely no reason, not to give you your chicken or whatever like that, So people are just being that way because they can. So, I don't know what the situation is. And when I go in there now, I think the guy kind of recognized me. But when I go in there and I try not to, because I've been in shelters and things like that, I try not to. And some of those people have been too, And I try not to, try to be buddy-buddy, because I know there's a lot of negativity towards me. And if this person is buddy-buddy or familiar with me, I know that it's going to go to them. That happened in middle school too. My best friend, 12, 13 years old, 30 years ago, no, 20-something years ago, my best friend, girlfriend, and she was just like, everybody's hating me because I'm friends with you. And it didn't sound like that before. Prior to a certain point, it was like everybody loved me. First they hated me, then they were like, oh, she's this, that, and the other. They would love me, and I was like, it's not all that. I'm overweight and blah blah blah. And I would just be the truth about it. And they didn't respect the truth. They wanted a fantasy, and I wasn't giving nobody no fantasy. The reality is, this is what it is. I'm overweight. I'm biracial. I have big hair. I'm glad you think it's so attractive now, but last year it was something different. College, same thing. But anyways, I'm going to go because I have a 10-minute limit. So love y'all. I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see.